People think a spiritual experience is like, wow, flashing lights and all. It's not. It's just having the ability to process your life and, if you're living wrong, to rate it. If you're living good, to make it better type of thing. The drugs were never my problem, mate. They were never my problem. Neither was the drink. It was a solution to kill the problem. The problem was me and how I perceived myself. I couldn't live in my head without being high or drunk or something. Do you know what I mean? And I learned about your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions need to be aligned. So you can't be thinking up here, I'm a piece of shit, and I'm this and I'm that, and I'm unworthy and I'm no good in relationships and all that stuff. And then doing breath work and all that stuff to try and make yourself feel good.
Yes, you have to get them all aligned, yes.
Because they're not aligned, and then your actions will be all ski-whiff. They'll not be directed anyway.
Yeah.
That's like going to change my life a bit. Was you fill this out and you look at it and you go back and you look at it once a week, once a fortnight, and anything in your life that's not aligned with what you have down, get rid of it. It's so simple, you know what I mean? It's so simple, and I'm like, what? I'm going to follow it.
That sounds good. Yeah. Welcome to Rewired for Freedom. I'm Liam Keeley, and this isn't some polished recovery podcast. This is real talk about breaking free from addiction, rewiring the mind, and getting your life back on your own terms. No scripts, no pretending, just straight conversations with people who've been through the madness, faced their demons, and found freedom on the other side. If you're done playing small, done being controlled by the beast, and ready to start thinking for yourself, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. So hi folks, it's great to be back. So today I have Tony in. Tony's a big face in the recovery scene in Belfast. He works for the Turnaround Project, the Iceland Centre in the New Lodge, and
lead facilitator for Trauma Talks UK and Ireland.
Yep. So there you go. And today we're going to talk about addiction and whatever else, whatever comes with it. You know what I mean? So I think we should get into, Tony, where your addiction began first. So how bad was it and where did it start? What age did you start?
10. And this is the maddest,
similar to me, yeah.
This is the maddest thing ever. See, by the age of 10, Liam, I was a full-blown smoker, 10 fags a day. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Grew up in a household that, my dad was a life sentence prisoner. My mum always had to go out and work. There was nobody at home watching this type of thing. So I would call it feral kids. We just did what we wanted. Me and my sister, 2 older brothers that weren't really about the house much. They were out working too, but my sister tried her best to control me, but she couldn't. Do you know what I mean? So age 10 for me is where, age 8 if you're talking about fags and all. Do you know what I mean?
What class was that in primary school?
8.
Because I was starting P6 myself.
6.
5
P6. Like a proper inhaling smoke.
Yeah, so did I. That's mad.
I used to have big grown-ups saying to me, what are you doing? Number 6. I was in Regal. So if you're talking about that, I was back at that age, but substances for me was the summer before going to secondary school. My mate's brother had an RM80 Scrambler. Right? My mate was like myself. He was a raker. Do you know what I mean? So he went over to a motorbike one day and opened the petrol cap and put his hand in it and started breathing it in and out. So the next thing he jumped off and he went to me, try it, it's brilliant. Do you know what I mean? So I went over and done it and I was like, oh fuck. But even thinking about it now and what I know now about it, that was the start of me medicating what was really wrong with me. Like I said, grew up, I was a dirty kid and all, wasn't really well kept and didn't go to school and, all that sort of stuff. So I felt wrong even at that age. And that sniff out of the petrol tank brought me to a whole new world. Do you know what I mean? Where I felt okay about myself. Do you know what I mean? So I convinced them to take a fuel line off and drip some into a bag. We got some in the bag and we went to a place called the Half Moon Lake in Lanardown. We were sniffing it out of a bag. No idea of the danger it posed till as it cut a kilt is everything. And we're sharing the bag back and forth. God knows what we were fucking transferring to each other too. But that was my first initiation into getting high. Anything that took me out of myself. So back in, getting into secondary school, we went into secondary school that September first year. And the mate, I kept talking to him about getting high. I was obsessed about getting high, do you know? And he kept saying to me, no. And I says, we'll try it again. So we bumped into this group of lads. We're sniffing glue in Buncrana Flats, the old Buncrana Flats in Lanardown. They offered to sell us a dip of glue for £1, a golf ball dip, they called it. It was the size of a golf ball, right?
Yeah. Fuck, that was cheap.
Evil's one it was too, right?
Yeah, dip.
So I talked to him for weeks about it and we ended up one Friday saying, all right, we'll get a dip of glue and we'll go up a half and we'll sniff it and then we'll see what happens. then on. So we went down to Buncrana Flats that Friday night, got the dip of glue with the plan to go to Half Moon Lake. Come around a few hours later, we were still at Buncrana Flats, covered in muck, can't remember anything. But all I can remember saying to him was that was amazing. Couldn't remember anything, but still said to him it was amazing. So that was my journey in the glue, you know.
Yeah.
It was nearly every weekend from that stage on, first year, glue every week up in the Half Moon Lake sniff.
Yeah, I was the same. Like,
went from the glue. The glue's mad. Do you know, I love the glue.
So did I. I know. You had pour, time bomb pour,
So
and you had
Impact.
the dip.
That was Impact.
Ah, you Impact that.
And then
There's different flavours.
Oh,
It's mad saying
and
that.
then
Like,
it was time bomb, then that's what you would have dipped in and got.
yeah, the go for.
But that's the way we racked about at that age, sniffing, and then we went on to Co-op cider. I remember the first time getting Co-op cider, right? The Co-op was down the bottom of Subway Road. Went down, we got somebody to go in first. But I was always one of them people. They all got a bottle of Co-op cider. I had to get 2, right? Because, you know, one wasn't enough for me. One's, you know, one was never.
Was that their own brand of Co-op?
Co-op cider, aye.
Fuck, I've never seen
Their
it.
own brand, right? I remember getting 2 bottles of Co-op cider. Next thing I was up in Carrigart where we live up in Annatoo, doing head spins in the field and all. You know, just getting up to all sorts of mayhem. But that again started becoming a weekly occurrence. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I was just like stepping up for like bum smoking, glue, drink. And
Straight into it, like, and then went from cider, smoking hash, you know.
my blow.
First couple of years I smoked hash was paranoid rack. Everything I thought about myself, like, it was unworthy, it was unlovable, it was no good, all that stuff was magnified
Oh, fuck off.
100 times, but I still
Yeah.
used to smoke it. And then over a period of time of smoking it, I get used to it. So it was drinking, smoking the hash, and that was the whole way through school. And then maybe about third year, started getting into stolen cars and all. So it was all the risk-taking behaviour was getting more and more and more, do you know?
Yeah.
So for years, that's what we're doing, in and out of cars, drinking, sniffing glue, smoking hash. And then we all left school in 1988, went till the YTPs, do you remember? Be part of YTP, we all...
On Springfield Road?
So we went till Callenbrook in the Subway Road. Mm-hmm. So we're all running about in Callenbrook, obviously in the woodwork section and all, access to glue.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Sick.
Finding all these different sort of chemicals in all the workshops that you could get high.
Jesus.
You know,
Christ.
all the axes, that's all we ever looked for was the axes, you know. And then sort of went through YTP, just on and off stuff. And then I think it was about the tail end of 88, 16, 17, 89, 88, 89. And the acid house stuff started seeping in. You know what I mean? But as you know, growing up in Belfast yourself, our areas were tightly controlled around all that stuff, right?
Yes, our areas were.
So I grew up in a Catholic Nationalist Republican area where, you know, if you were taking drugs, you were fraternizing with the other side and you were banning them off loyalists and stuff. And this is the poison that was put in your heads to try and keep you away from it, right? So I remember my first introduction to acid. Took a trip, went to a rave, ran out of the rave.
Did you freak out?
Freaked out.
Oh, no.
Do you know when you're going up the road, you know, in posts, like there's 2 big posts near
they bend over to you?
The dots is here. I was going through them posts and they were shrinking up.
So you turned around?
I'm not trying to get through. It was an absolute night.
Oh, I had bad, I know when they first came out, I had a bad experience. Like,
so I remember saying, I'm not doing that again. But I had a mate, and he's dead now, God rest his soul, died of a heroin overdose. But anyway, he was away in London with his family because he had put out joyriding and all that shit.
Yep.
So he came back, tail end of 89, get into 90 and talk about this stuff called ecstasy.
Oh, fuck.
And he was on about singing a song, I'll never forget it. Everything starts with an E. Everything starts with an E. so him saying it over and over and over again, then gets you curious, what's E's and all, do you know, what's ecstasy? And he's telling me it's this stuff and it blows the nuts off you and this happens and that happens. Right, so it ended up me and him got a dove, broke a dove in half, and I thought...
The speckled dove, was it?
It was just a white dove, pure white dove, right? And it was way back in the early days. It was 25 quid for one. We whacked in and we took half heats. Well, he tried to be a bully and take a wee bit more, you know what I mean? I was like, nah, straight down the middle. Right?
Straight down, I want them crumbs.
So that started me off on the E journey, and from that point on, it was just constantly ecstasy, speed.
Fuck me. But they lasted 8 hours back then, didn't they?
I whapped you out for it.
Aye.
chewing the eyebrows.
I won, Nick.
Right? But I remember taking that half, Liam, and it just brought me to a whole new place. Love myself, so able to talk to girls and all. I could never talk to girls, you know what I mean, because of what I thought about myself.
That took it all away.
It made me feel like I was sauntering about and all, do you know what I mean? And it just brought me to a whole new place, and I enjoyed every minute of it. So that was maybe 90, sort of starting that, and from 90 right through till probably about 98. All I did was take ecstasy. Got to the point where I was sitting in my own bedroom, taking these on my own, 96.
Jesus, did you?
Oh, mate, sitting on my own, taking these. Like, it was wild, thinking I was having a good time, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Just lying like that, fucking smacking out.
Smacked out, There's my dad.
And the numbers probably went up as well. You probably from 1 to 2.
Sometimes it was handfuls at a time, do you know what I mean? Just crazy risk-taking behaviour. But I'm upstairs, whapped out. My dad's only out of jail after doing a life sentence against everything that I'm doing up the stairs. Do you know what I mean? The mayhem it caused in my life, like, my first child was born in 1994. And I remember even then the arena was only starting to really blossom.
Oh, yes.
And she was only born, and my wife, ex-wife now, said to me, why don't you go to the arena with all your mates and all? And we were living in my man's house. My man and dad was away in America at that time. So I said, down the arena, and there was no coming back for me. This is every Saturday night then, Well,
you got hooked on it, did you?
On the arena, and never mind.
Oh, I mean, it was powerful, wasn't it?
So up and down the arena constantly. I remember getting down one time and on a stolen car and coming back up on a bus, and, crazy.
Looking down the bus and coming up the...
I know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
There was always murder, like, but I always loved that feeling that these give you.
I know. There was always murder down there, wasn't there?
Always.
There was always fights, like.
The Armagh boys in the country, South Armagh boys, and all hated the Belfast ones coming down here, taking our women and
taking the cars as well.
Fuck, hello. But it was brilliant back in the day, like, just immersed in the whole scene of it, going back to house parties and all later, at night and all. Just loving that whole scene of it, and not realising that it was eventually getting a real hard grip on me, like. And then eventually, I think it was about 1996, 196, probably about the year of the Good Friday Agreement, that came to the attention of the locals. Took me away, started asking me questions about what I was up to and where it was all coming from, and your badness of loyalists and all. Deny. So I ended up getting put out of the country for a year.
Did you? Where'd you go?
So I was told to get out of the country, right?
But you went down south or something?
So I had a person in Dundalk, I don't want to say their name, they're a well-known businessman, who offered to give me a job and a place to stay.
Yeah.
So my man, Dan, went back to the people that were telling me to go and says, listen, he has this. So he says, that's all right, as long as he goes down there and doesn't appear up here for a year. If we see him up here before that, we're going to kneecap him or whatever like that. Mm-hmm. So the way I went down to Dundalk, I thought, I'm going to have to change my life. But just seen down there, it just got worse. Do you know what I mean? Because there was nobody watching me. I was in a wee flat my own, smoking the house flat out, taking these like we were going out of fashion. I ended up going down, working for him, and I ended up working in another place. I was always a pizza chef, you see, so I could always get work easy enough. I ended up doing a wee pizza job down there. Obviously, you're in that scene, who's doing the drugs and who's not.
Yes.
So it actually went a wee bit worse down there. But I actually left down there for a week and come back up, right? I say it now because I won't get in trouble now, but come up and done a thing called Curcio. Have you ever heard of it?
Curcio?
No. So it's a thing run by the Catholic Church.
Well, Curcio?
I can't tell you much about it.
Is it Newry? No,
that's Sister Conception.
Right. Yes.
No, Curcio. I actually done my Curcio up. Yeah.
I've never heard of it, no.
Right. So it's actually a really good thing, right? But not that it's secret. I just can't tell you anything about it because it would ruin anybody else's experience going. Does that make sense?
What's the secret? I've never heard of it.
No, it's actually, I thought all that.
It's like secret society.
But I snuck up from Dundalk.
And it's for drugs too?
No, it's just for anybody. It's for anybody who's sort of facing a bit of
right
trials in their life. And so I was put out of the country and I come up to do it. When I got there, I was like, I think I'm in the wrong room.
What?
A lot of like high up Republicans and all there at this time, and people who have been through the wars, like, do you know what I mean? And I thought somebody's going to tout me being up here and all. But anyway, it didn't turn out like that. But what it did was, for the first time in my life, I had a spiritual experience, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't a spiritual experience like Jesus appeared and said, I'm going to save you, right?
Right.
It was the first time ever in my life I was able to sit by myself and look back on my life and see what was going on, why I was doing things and all. I'll never forget it.
In this place?
In this place, right? So people think of spiritual experiences like, wow, flashing lights and all. It's not. It's just having the ability to process your life and, if you're living wrong, to right it. If you're living good, to make it better type of thing, And that's what happened for me. I'd never been able to do that, and I done it at that time, and I could see the first time in my life the pattern of the drugs and stuff. I'm looking because I'm thinking back about it. The pattern of the drugs and stuff, and all the mayhem I'd caused, and I'd left my wife left me. I'm not going to take I left her, she left me in a long-term relationship. It went to shit, and do you know what I mean? And I was able to look at it all and go, and getting took away and all. And I was so close to probably death for her, and I don't even realise, how close it came.
You didn't care, either?
I didn't care, but
no.
But in this moment, I started caring, started feeling fear, started going, what's going on? I'm in my 20s by a stage, do you know what I mean? And this is happening through mayhem, my whole life, do you know what I mean? And I remember looking back and looking at times I was involved in crime and looking at times.
Fuck, you looked at everything?
Just looked at I put drugs before my kids, before everything, I remember one time, and it's so vivid in my mind, my wife at the time saying that she had no money, for the house. And I had 40 quid down my sack.
Oh, fuck that.
Do you know what I mean? But I was keeping that for drugs. Do you know what I mean? And it's something that haunted me for years.
Fuck, that's mad. Something so simple.
I ended up going and borrowing money off my man instead of going, here, there's money yours, because I needed drugs.
You need to get high.
So looking back and seeing all that, the crime, not going to school, hated everybody. But really, I hated myself. I didn't know at the end, but I just hated everybody and everything.
It was like a mirror.
Was, mate. It's it was a weird experience.
Because we spoke about this before. It's like a mirror. You're hating everybody else, but it's actually fucking you you're hating.
Can't stand yourself,
No, I know.
And that's what I was looking at. All that, there are patterns of why am I doing this?
Do you not think the drugs led you like that? You couldn't stand yourself because of the drugs? Isn't that right?
Partly, right?
Yeah.
The drugs, and I only know this from doing really deep inner work on myself. The drugs were never my problem, Liam.
Mm-hmm.
They were never my problem. Neither was the drink.
What
it was a solution to the problem. The problem was me and how I perceived myself. I couldn't live in my head without being high or drunk or something. Do you know what I mean? So when I look back now, that was my solution till the problem that was in here, which was my head. But even when I look back on my recovery and stuff, I went to meetings, ANA meetings, and I got cleaning meetings, but I was still fucking crazy, doolally, still getting involved in behaviours I shouldn't have been getting involved in, still getting involved with people I shouldn't have been involved in. Yes, the drink and the drugs had stopped by that stage after coming out of Shaftesbury Square rehab and then going to ANA. The drink and drugs had stopped, but the behaviours, all the other behaviours had increased. And I always remember thinking, if I stop taking drugs and drinking, my life will change. My life got worse.
I know. See, that's what I believe as well. See, for anybody out there as well, when you stop drinking or taking drugs or whatever, that's the easy part, I think.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's what comes. I think that's why people turn back to the drinking drugs, because it's what comes after. You have to deal with that there, but the easy part is getting off and stuff, isn't it?
It's easy stopping.
It is.
Hard stopping. It's staying stop.
Yes.
And that's when I sort of started getting wee insights into looking back and going, right, I was using drugs because of the way I thought about myself. When I stopped using them, then I had to face myself, and that's where all the problems started coming up, right? I started seeing myself in a different way. Ruined marriage, ruined relationship, ruined family relationships, right till the end of my using, I wasn't even allowed to see my own children. Do you know what I mean?
Fuck.
I used to go into my ma's house, and the first thing my ma had done was lifted her handbag and put it beside her. Do you know what I mean? That's where it got to.
That hits you, don't it?
That's where it got to, mate. But thankfully, I got to rectify all that with my man before she died, and all I was able to feed her and look after her and all that. All that. Do you know what I mean? But even when I got the meetings, mate, it didn't sort me out, and I was going, what's going on here?
Because you were in the meetings for a while, weren't you? Years?
13 years solid.
You were in the NA for 13 years?
Solid. So my first clean stint was 5 years. Relapse one New Year's Eve, done one night relapse. I'm back to meetings, and the first thing I was told it was a newcomer again and start back to square one. So all the stuff that I'd done those 5 previous years didn't matter, and I started questioning and going, where did my 5 years go? Like, you know, and people in the meetings started treating me like a lapper. Do you know?
I know, but I was in the meetings. You were running them, weren't you? You were in Clonard, no? You were the, yes, I remember you.
Secretary of a meeting.
Yes.
Right. And then.
But you were secretary before you lapsed, and then fuck, it was like you were lappered?
Oh, I like it was a lapper, mate. Like,
fucking
hell. Stopped talking to me and all, and, you know, ostracizing me, organising nights out and all, not even saying to me and all, you know, because I was a header, I relapsed. You know, stay away from him, he's got the relapse disease, you know.
He's got the disease.
But it was funny, like, but I went back to meetings, and I think I got 4 years the next 10. And then I relapsed and I went out for about 3 weeks. I'm 25 years around recovery. I'm not 25 years substance free. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I went out for about 3 weeks at time, got my head together and went back to meetings. And then I think I got about another 4 or 5 years, whatever, 3, 4 years. But it was crazy, mate. It was crazy. I was getting involved in relationships and meetings, 13 stepping, doing all the things that I shouldn't. You know 13 stepping is, don't you?
No, I've heard of 12 steps.
So there's 12 steps, right?
Right.
But a 13 stepper is someone who gets into relationships and all, where women in the meetings are just
fuck, you doing
sex with women in the meetings. And,
were you doing that?
Yes, mate, I was flat out. And I don't apologise for it, and I'm not ashamed of myself for it.
Well, it's part of who you are. Like, I mean,
I'm ashamed of that behaviour.
Yes. You need it. It's a lesson.
I'm ashamed of that behaviour, but I'm not ashamed of myself, because if I knew better, then I'd have done better. Yep. You know what I mean? But I didn't know any better. So I remember sitting in meetings, and then I went out again. And that was the worst relapse I'd ever had. Like,
seriously?
Worst relapse I'd ever had. Blew so much money in no time. I was in a relationship at the time, you know, dragging the girl down with me, you know. She hadn't a clue really what was going on, and just flat out using coke, flat down mat. And then I came to a part of my life where I had 2 options. It was either end my own life or do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to do something about it.
And what was it?
Go my own path. Didn't need meetings. And
I
believe meetings were making me worse, mate.
I believe that early as well, because I was at them for I think it was 6 months, and then, well, I was taking it in between anyway. I couldn't fucking stay off it. Well, the meetings weren't working, you know what I mean?
I was doing that myself.
And then I stopped for a while, and then I went back for another 6 months in fucking University Street, all these different fucking
places.
That just wasn't working.
But it's not for everybody, do you know?
It's not.
And then people would say to me now, why do you talk about addiction and you've been through it, and why do you do this? And my simple answer to people that go to 12-step meetings, I love people in 12-step meetings. Don't get me wrong, I've met some great people in 12-step meetings. Yep. I really have, and there still is.
Do you know what it is? There's not enough out there. There's not enough of the people. There's just not enough out there for fucking...
That's exactly it.
Do you know what I mean?
So, I went down a rabbit hole, Liam, right? Me and you talk about the freedom model and stuff, yes. Right? And I get on this freedom model thing, and I joined the program online and was doing all the lessons, mate, and putting my heart and soul into it. And then this is just leading up into lockdown about tail end of 2018. Started really looking at all this stuff, and then lockdown came, and for me, that was the best thing that ever happened. Because when I was in lockdown, mate, I turned my eyes inwards, and I faced myself, and it was bad. Sometimes really all that shame and guilt and remorse coming up, and I was really turned over by it, right? But I really went down the rabbit hole at that time. The freedom model came along, and I started working with the freedom model and going, I can do this different. And then I started clicking on the wee things.
Mm-hmm.
And then the freedom model exposes like NA and AA and all.
Yeah, it's the same as the stuff I study as well. It's like it's against it.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Because it doesn't fit the narrative.
No.
So the people that would say to me, people that I know would still go to meetings, and if they're listening, they know I love them a lot. Do you know? And I do, mate. I have a lot of time for them, but I just don't have time for the 12 steps.
No.
What I learned in the freedom model was 3 to 5% get it, right? So these are the 3 to 5%. Like,
you on about 3 to 5% in NA and all?
It's
only 5% success rate.
So let's say they have 5. We'll be generous and give them 5%,
yep.
right? So I say to friends of mine and people who say, why you talk about addiction the way you do. And I say, well, I'm not here for that 5%. I'm here for the 95% of the other ones that
Exactly.
have no
Don't get
other
it.
avenue.
Yep.
And I feel that I can connect with people on that level, like yourself, Liam. Do you know, we've had great conversations about addiction, but it's got me to the point now where I don't even believe that addiction exists in the way what we think.
Never do I.
You know?
Never do I. Like,
it's a cover up.
Yes.
It's a cover up, and like,
it's like disempowering people.
It is.
It is like,
and we could do a whole podcast here about the Recovery Society, and I get ripped at the shreds, right?
Mm-hmm.
About their, what do you call them? Their steps, and then their, what's your 12 traditions and stuff, right? And says about not glorifying or putting, like, advertising that has to be anonymous, but getting all they're in every rehab facility in Ireland and the UK. And then if you go to a recovery house, there's all NAA books in it and all. So they're treading across their own traditions, and
they're in everywhere. The fingers in everywhere, like, don't they?
But if you really wanted to expose that, you know, you could, like, but anyway, even I don't even want to go down that road.
So do you class yourself as in recovery or recovered?
Recovered, mate.
Okay, same here.
I'm recovered.
Same here.
And not only am I recovered, I am powerful. When I realised that I was powerful things started happening in my life.
Yes.
See, the whole time I thought I was powerless. I
were powerless?
Running up the hill.
What do you mean you've talked about the subconscious? I mean, like affirmations. You're repeating fucking every morning, I'm healthy, wealthy ways. Would you become healthy, wealthy ways? But the negative ones work as well, where I'm an addict. 100%. Do you know what I mean? So if you're saying, I'm an addict, what's your subconscious going to do?
So if you're doing 1990, right? A lot of people do 90 meetings, 90.
No, what do you?
For 90 days.
So I got attacked for saying that online. We're saying, no, that doesn't happen, but it does happen.
It does happen.
Because they were trying to get me to do it too.
90 meetings in 90 days. It does happen. Most people in the meetings mean good.
Yep.
They really mean good. They're doing their best.
Yep.
And they're trying to help people, but it's just not enough. And that's what I think guys like me and you do, is provide something different and help people along the way, if you get me.
Yep.
You know, and you do it a different way from me, but it's sort of similar stuff.
It is similar. It's very similar.
You know, and it's about...
Well, it's believing you're powerful. You're powerful. It's inner. It's not external. You're not getting your power away external.
Nothing external will ever get you.
No.
That's why that's why we go to meetings and all in the first place, because we put drink and drugs and everything external in place of looking after yourself.
Yeah. Well, we're the higher power.
Yes,
exactly.
And that's the way I think, right?
Yes, that's the way I think.
So when I first started in this journey, I heard a thing called, you ever hear people saying, you need to get in alignment? You need to get in alignment. And I used to be sitting going, what the fuck does that mean? The only alignment I know is headlamp alignment. Do you know what I mean? What is alignment? You know? And then I started sort of looking at it and studying it and going down a rabbit hole with it. And I mean, you have all these people saying about manifestation, right? And I'm into all that.
So am I. You into all the energies, no?
I love it.
Oh, so yeah.
But also I'm into honesty as well, and I'm into not taking people on courses and saying, I can learn you how to manifest, when they feel like shit in themselves and everything else. You can't manifest from that.
No, you have to get on to a different frequency.
So this is what I learned about alignment, right? So, and you need to be aligned with yourself first and foremost before you can be aligned with anything else, right? And I learned about your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions need to be aligned. So you can't be thinking up here, I'm a piece of shit and I'm this and I'm that and I'm unworthy and I'm no good in relationships and all that stuff. And then doing breath work and all that stuff to try and make yourself feel good.
Yes. You have to get them all aligned, yes.
Because they're not aligned, and then your actions will be all ski with. They'll not be directed anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you get your thoughts in line, right, I am strong, I am powerful, I am.
But feel it.
You know, and the more you do it, you'll feel it. And then when you start feeling that, you will start acting like that.
Yep.
Once you get to that point, you're aligned with yourself.
Yeah.
Then you
there's a law of attraction. It's like,
then you can start aligning yourself with your 3-year plan, your 5-year plan, your manifestation. Because if you're trying to manifest, and I hear people saying all the time, I'm going to manifest a big house and $1 million quid, and you can't manifest that if you don't like yourself.
I just sit and think, and that's like, it's an example of like, you want to get fit, but you're going to the gym and then coming home and drinking wine. That's the same idea. It's not aligned with your goal.
No.
It's the same idea, isn't it?
It's out of alignment. Do
yes.
You know what I mean? Your mind saying, right, I'm going to get fit, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Then you come home and you eat a kebab or you have 6 tins of beer.
It's not aligned.
It's not aligned, and that's why it's always going to fall.
It's the same with your mind, your your feelings and fucking
the whole lot, mate. If it's not aligned in you, it can't be aligned in anything else.
in reality.
Do you know what I mean? And I learned that, I was like, right, I understand alignment now. Right? So for me in my life, my thoughts are mostly aligned to how I feel. My actions are mostly aligned to both. Do you know what I mean? There's times you're a wee bit ski with, or you might eat the extra kebab yourself. I don't drink or anything, so you might eat the extra kebab, you know, or you might, I don't know, get involved in something you shouldn't get involved in.
Yeah. But we're only human.
You're only human, isn't it?
Yeah.
But quickly you'll pull yourself back into alignment.
Yes.
Oh, that's not alignment. So we have a mutual friend, right?
Yep.
Michael McCusker, right? And that man is so strategic and he can think so far ahead. And it's only because, right, he's not only is he very smart, but he's very aligned with what he thinks, how he feels, and what he does.
Is he all in that too, is he?
I don't know if he's in it in that way.
Did he? You can tell. I can tell.
Aligned, right?
Yes.
So I was saying to him the other day, talking about it and all, about being aligned, and he gave me a sweet plan, like a 3-year plan template, and it makes so much sense.
No way.
But one thing he said to me, mate, and I went, that's like going to change my life a bit, was you fill this out and you look at it and you go back and you look at it once a week, once a fortnight, and anything in your life that's not aligned with what you have done, get rid of it. Fuck off. It's so simple. Do you know what I mean? It's so simple. And I'm like, what? I'm going to follow it.
That sounds good.
You know?
Yeah.
Because we do talk about being aligned, and I love all that manifestation. Don't get me wrong, I do. And I think if you feel good about yourself and you're giving good out in the world,
it's like a boomerang in it. It's coming back to you. Like.
If you always do what you always done, you'll always get what you always got.
Yes.
You know,
exactly.
Your nervous system is wired. If you grew up in a chaotic environment, it's wired for
for chaos.
Exactly. What's familiar. It'll never, that's why people get out of jail, right? In their mind, they're saying I'm free. They get out and they go back to the estate and they go, everything tightens up. Do you know what I mean? Their chest tightens up. Their jaws tighten up. They have to start acting a certain way and all to blend in. Their nervous system's wired for that. That's all they know. Their mind might be saying you're free and saying I get out and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do that and I'm going to change.
Yes.
Till you learn to regulate your nervous system, get all this stuff aligned, you're always going to do what you always done and you're always going to get what you always got. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's what I think anyway. And I'm into all this in a big way, like laying and everything, keeping everything aligned. Got a wee bit of a belly, right? And I'm only a month's right fit and I'm walking. I'm going to join a new gym here in the new year and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that.
Yep.
But I still like to eat Chinese at the weekend.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So is that aligned? No, but I'm still going to eat the Chinese until I can pull it in the alignment.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm
not going to crucify myself and go, I have to do this by.
No, but sure, if you're fucking happy.
You know?
Do you know what I mean? If you're happy in other things, like.
I'm happy in most things I do. See my work. I have a job where it doesn't feel like work.
Because you enjoy it.
Because you enjoy it so much.
I enjoy this shit as well. Like.
Do you know what I mean? And you come in here and that's why you're always aligned and you're always happy and you can give that energy because your cup's full, mate. Do you know what I mean? I've had jobs where your cup's just empty. You know, you're dreading.
Fuck, so have I. So have I. I know you're like, fuck, I'm going to work here.
So that's why I live. And everything I do, I have to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it and it doesn't bring value to me.
You're making me think about my name now because I have a fucking sugar problem at the minute. Fucking every day. I'm like, say New Year, I'm fucking starting. I get in the lane, the fuck.
With the tea, right? So the tea, you said to me, you take sugar and the tea is sort of, nobody wanted to admit it. I take sugars. But Liam,
yes.
I ain't going to allow that until such time.
Since the New Year, until New Year.
But even all that.
Sugar's the hardest thing to get off.
Of course it is.
I've fucking done it for 40 days.
I'm a savoury person, right? I like things savoury, right? I'd rather eat a bag of crisps than eat a bar of chocolate. I'd rather eat a pat noodle than eat a cake. Do you know what I mean? That's just the way I am, right? But there is times where I'm lying in the house and I'm like, there's a packet of biscuits in there, I'm going to eat one. And there's maybe 9 biscuits in the thing.
I just polish them off the
foot. They're done, mate. Do you know?
I know.
And then maybe
they're done before you get them. You're tricking yourself only once.
And then open up a tin of Coke Zero like you're doing yourself. But I'll have a Coke Zero. There's no sugar in it.
I know. The fucking neighbour.
You know, but
here, I mean, as long as we're not taking drugs, like.
Well, that's the way I look at everything.
Do you know what I mean?
As long as I'm not
hurting anything. That's minute compared to what we used to do, like. Do you know what I mean? But I'm going to eliminate it. I'm going to get rid of it anyway. Like.
But don't put pressure on yourself.
No, it's just, you know.
When you're coming into a limit, this is what I find easiest for me. And so I would go down a rabbit hole with things until I fully understand it. I don't like talking about things unless I know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
And that's probably a thing from childhood, being told to shut up. What would you know? You haven't a clue. But when you're bringing all this stuff into alignment, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions,
yes,
you can't punish yourself if it's off slightly.
No.
You have to be gentle with yourself, because when you start punishing yourself is when you'll put more sugar in, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to be gentle with yourself. Compassion's no compassion at all without self-compassion, right? If you can't have a wee bit of self-compassion, go, listen, all right, I'm eating a biscuit. I'll look at that. Awareness is key. As long as you're aware of it, don't torture yourself, is what I'm saying.
That's a nightmare. I've noticed it. Like, you know what I mean?
Aye.
But it doesn't bother me. Like, it's only because I train 5 days a week now.
See?
But then come the afternoon, you're like, so you're getting a step forward. Now, it's not even much. Like, I mean, it could be 1 bar of chocolate.
That's all right, as long as
I know, but I know.
And moderation things is okay. As a society, we're programmed to not take nothing in moderation.
Yeah.
So you're sitting watching whatever.
Well, here now, it's more than 1 bar of chocolate. Like, do you know what I mean?
But you're sitting watching TV and eating all the advertises food and, you know, M&S Christmas parties, or you go to the
repetition straight into the subconscious.
Iceland Christmas parties. They're all selling these Christmas finger foods. Do you know what I mean? And you're constantly thinking about it, and that's why you go, box of biscuits, I'm going to open them. I'll only have one.
Aye, but as soon as I know, fucking one. You're saying to yourself, only have one. You're going out and left 4.
One tray. I had the top tray. I said, I was going to have one.
Christmas cupboard at the minute. Fuck's sake. It's full of fucking biscuits, bastard.
But this is the stuff as we're going along. But we use drugs to take it away, right?
Yep.
Now we use different things like sugar, reward ourselves in a different way.
Dopamine.
I'm not one of them ninjas where 0 is 0 at. Weigh your food out. Do this.
No, I wouldn't do that either.
I'm not into that, all right? Because one, I'm in my 50s now. You know, I'm never going to get a 6-pack at this stage, right? So I go for the keg look rather than the 6-pack.
I think women like that better. I was reading something the other day that says that. Like,
but on that there is, and I don't torture myself if I do want to indulge in Chinese or a kebab, or I'll go to Spinks now for my kebabs because they're not as bad.
They're lovely.
They're not as bad as real meat.
I don't get kebabs now. I get the burrito out of it.
Oh, I get the kebab out of it, so I do.
Lovely.
But I don't torture myself, is probably what I'm trying to say. Is I've tortured myself long enough.
Yeah.
And I am a wee bit more compassionate with myself. And I find the more compassionate I am with myself, the more things that I can change in my life.
Mm-hmm.
See, I haven't given myself a hard time over it. I'll never change it. Do you think all the years you grew up, many times your man dad said, you need to get off drugs. Mm-hmm. You didn't.
I know.
You know, because you were being pressured.
And you did torture yourself. The last 10 years, I was torturing myself, like from the age of 30 up to 39. Really trying, like, really hammering myself, like.
For not doing it?
For not being able to do it. Fuck's sake, going to hypnotists. And I was fucking going to hypnotists and hitting the gear and all after it.
Do you believe in willpower?
No.
No,
Do you know? No.
Willpower's not enough.
I know what I was thinking is knowledge.
I was just going to say the exact same thing. Willpower is nothing, right?
No.
Until you learn somebody or teach them why they're doing what they're doing and what
addiction really is.
What function it's fulfilling.
Yep.
And then if they can find out what function it's fulfilling, then they can do something about it. The way you do it, I think, is class about the wee voice and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because that really gets into people's sake and they can work that out.
Yeah.
I think the Freedom Models approach to it is really good. They do a wee drawing.
They're similar, aren't they?
Mate, they do a wee stick drawing and it blows your mind.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there going,
you showed me.
Why does nobody ever show you?
Why aren't they taught? See what you're talking about and what I'm talking about. Why isn't that taught in schools? Do you know what I mean? Why is this not taught in schools?
My theory on that is schools are made, they're not
indoctrination.
Oh, it's about education and stuff. You learn how to memorize facts that you've been told that are true. You learn how to memorize.
But you probably think it's the same as long as me, where alcohol and other drugs is placed here to keep us weak.
So I was talking about this the other night, funny enough. Do you ever watch Boys in the Hood?
Aye.
So what did the dad say when he brought them back into the projects? He says, look around, right? His dad was a real estate guy, right?
Aye.
He says, look around you. This used to be a pleasant place when I was a kid. Neighbours and green fields and whatever.
Aye.
He says, but look at it now. What can you see? And they're like, going, ma. He says, what can you see? And the son's like saying, and he goes, no, look, in every street corner, there's a liquor store. there's a convenience store, there's a pharmacy. And now they've just opened the channels for the crack cocaine to come in, and it's just wiped it out. If you look at where we live, how's there that much coke coming through?
Do you know what my thoughts is on it? Well, I don't know if you ever heard about this, but did you ever hear of your man Gary Webb?
No.
So he was trying to oust. He kept reporting on the CIA being involved in letting cocaine circulate around the world. And then the 40 tons went down over in one of our planes coming from Mexico in the America, and it went down with 40 tons on the plane now. But he kept reporting on it, and he committed suicide by shooting himself twice in the head.
Right.
Look him up later.
Oh, I will.
So my thoughts is there's a big operation to keep everybody awake. So that's what you were saying. They're letting it through. Now there's people getting rich, but they're letting it circulate around the world. They're not stopping it.
It's dumbing people down.
It's dumbing people down. Pharmaceuticals make money.
Pharmaceuticals make money. They like benzocaine and all has to come through the pharmaceuticals and all the mix and all that stuff.
Yeah, and then when people get sick with a coke, they make money off fucking medicating their mental health or fucking.
Too much money to be made at it for one worldwide, first and foremost. But even here locally where we live, why is there so much coming through? And why is there so much allowed to come through? Because you can control the areas better.
Yes, because it makes everybody docile.
And then people that are involved in it, and I'm not saying everybody who's involved in it, but people who are involved in it are living a double life and stuff, and that's how it's all operating. And,
yes, it's a system.
Of course
it's a system.
But it's a system I'm glad that I'm no longer a part of.
Same here.
I mean,
I know.
It brought me nothing.
But the alcohol as well, that's why that's fucking here as well. Like,
so
people don't realise, like, they work hard all week and then they poison themselves at the weekend. It's like normal.
Do you ever ask yourself this? Well, I do anyway. So the Botanic Inn, right?
Yes.
Think of the Botanic Inn and then take yourself up the Malone Road, right?
Yep.
Tell me when you'll bump into the first chemist, shop, and off license. Tell me
There's
where.
Fucking none. There's none on the road.
Where's the first one you face? Think about it. From the Botanic Inn right up to Dunmurray.
I've never even thinking about that. Even those students no live halfway up that road. There's none.
Think about the Botanic Inn right up to Dunmurray.
That's fucking mad, though.
So, do you know where Tin Town is?
No.
What do you call it?
There's none. There's none there.
I forget the name of the actual estate. It's a loyalist estate. Tin Town.
Is that up beside the hotel?
No, it's just finicky, or it came to me or not left. It's just in finicky, right? But the estate, the edges come right out onto that part of the road, right? The Malone Road. And right in front of that housing estate is a chemist, an off license, and a shop. And I think there's a bookies in the estate.
It's fucking mad when you think of it like that, isn't it?
But why is it not on the rest of the road all the way up? And if you think about that stretch road on the way up, there's no corner shops, there's no like bookies, there's no doctor surgeries, there's no chemists at all. Like, so do you ever think of it like that? Or it's only always around housing estates that you'll see all that stuff. But that's just the way it is, and we accept it. We accept it because
I never actually thought of it, and that's a good way to look at it. Like, because I'm into all that,
You go up that road and you see it, or you go up. There's certain parts of East Belfast you'll go up. It's the same thing. You won't see a chemist. You won't see a shop. You won't see.
There's an off license here. There's one up the road. There's one down there a wee bit. There's the bookies there. There's fucking.
You think from the bottom of Cliftonville up to where we are now, right? How many bars is there? How many off licenses? How many fast food places? How many chemists? And how many doctor surgeries?
Everything that makes you sick.
All in one place. You know what I mean? But you're not allowed to have it in those other ends of town. But that's the stuff that would annoy me. We go to school.
You are deep thinker, aren't you?
The schools, are built in a way that McDonald's still need people to clean their toilets.
Yes.
They still need people to do menial jobs and menial tasks, but prey on the working class community for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other communities won't even get touched for that.
Did you ever look on this here? So I read something before about the schools, or the schools design is actually designed by the same people.
Design prisons,
the architects.
Put your hand up.
Same structure.
Move at the ring.
And the same structure of the building.
The only place in the world that you have to ask permission to use a toilet.
Yeah, but do you know what that's all designed for? For when you leave school, you're alright working 9 to 5. You're still asking to go to the toilet. Your lunch is at a certain time. It's like programming you into.
That's exactly what it is.
And the thing, but then this is where the alcohol and drugs come in. So you're allowed to drink when you're 18. keeping your docile even further.
I know, that's normal.
It's meta.
You can drink when you're 18, right? So when somebody's 17 and they're 18 the next day, right? So at 11:30, the night before their birthday, what makes them any more mature a half an hour later that they can drink? What's the difference? Like, it just blows my mind, all that stuff. But
it blows my mind. Well, I mean, you can see through it.
No,
I can gauge what you're saying, you know what I mean?
But that's when you start seeing it, you sort of like, you can't unsee it anymore. But for me, it's like, I just watch so many people struggling with addiction, mate, and that's my thing, right? I see people struggling that shouldn't be struggling.
Yeah.
Because there's easier, softer options out there.
There is.
In the meetings, you were always told there is no easier, softer option. Actually, there is.
There is. There really is. Like,
you know what I mean? And educate people on what it is they're doing, educate them around different things, the reasons why they're doing. Like, see the freedom model, mate. 27 or 29,000 people they have helped to get substance free with no follow-up care, no support groups, no meetings, because they have showed them exactly what way their brains work.
Exactly.
You know, Tony Robbins does it. Look around the room. How many orange things do you see in this room?
Yep.
You know, you look around this room and count that in 5 seconds. You know, you'll probably add that lead in over. Your 4 chairs are orange, but you'll probably add that lead in, a couple of buttons, but they're really orange when you look at them. Not really. Your brain just wants to prove itself, right? You know, learn people that's the way they're programmed. If they feel like shitting themselves, they feel like whatever, they're not worthy. When they leave their house, that's what they're looking for. You know, bring people in and teach them about emotional regulation, you know, teach them about nervous system regulation and show them, educate them, like you said, educate them around what they're doing.
Give them knowledge.
And it'll change. That's what I believe, but you can't give people like that. I don't mean you can't. Why would you give people knowledge like that when they can get themselves better and stop depending on, you know, chemist shops and doctor surgeries and, you know, off licenses and fast food places that use trans fat and all the shit a day. Why would you educate people around all that there when people are making money out of it and it's dumbing everybody down as well?
Exactly.
You know, not a conspiracy theorist, but I can just
want to get the tinfoil hats on. I am a conspiracy theorist. I hope my hand up. They're going to come and get us. Oh no, I'm a truth seeker. I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
That's what I am too.
Yeah.
Truth seeker. I wasn't always a truth seeker. I was a liar most of my life because of drugs and stuff. But I've really done the deep dive and work on myself, really come in and looked at myself. Honesty is always the best policy, whether people like it or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is why when you do this type of work and you really do work on yourself, people start falling off around you because you're not meeting that requirement or that function that you did once meet in their lives. So they don't like that for a start, and then you think you are. And then you do that much work on yourself that you can't unsee what you can already see.
Yes.
So then when you're talking about the stuff that you can see around people that can't see it, then they'd say, you have a tinfoil hat on. They don't want to face the truth sometimes, you know.
Well, that's what's going on in the world at the minute anyway. I mean, there's a split going on.
100%.
There's people that's awake and there's people.
Social media's bang on it, you know, throwing this video out, throwing that video out. You'll get the naysayers and the yaysayers, you know. COVID was another example of it. You know, not in the debating about COVID, no, but if you look at splits and families and all over it, and
fuck.
You know what I mean? Because people got the job, but they didn't get the job and stuff.
That was a test, wasn't it?
But, you know, it's fractured. But my thing for all that, around all that, is there's people out there suffering through alcohol addiction, through drug addiction, through gambling addiction, through eating addiction, through like what I'm through. I'm through sex addiction, relationship addiction. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's people struggling through that because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
But when you show them and you teach them certain wee things and they can't on it themselves, they're like, what am I doing?
What you're doing is planting seeds.
I don't need to do that.
Do you
know what I mean?
Well, it's a choice. Do you agree with me? And addiction's a choice. No, when I say a choice, I mean that's where I talk about the two voices in the head, the ambivalence.
Yes, the ambivalence.
So you choose which voice do you listen to. That's because I've said this before. It's a choice, and people. It's been backlash.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
And I get your hum, right? So yes, name two voices, right? And it is a choice, right? But you have to think of the people that are making those choices. Maybe only know one choice.
Yes.
Right. So they'll always go with that choice, right? Like the white wolf and the dark wolf. Your brain will say, "At work, keep doing that, even if it's causing mayhem in your life." Your brain's wired for it.
Yes.
Do that again, it works. So you've got those two people in your head making the choices, and this one, the right one, might always win because you know that that's a safe path and this is what you'll get from it. This other path you haven't tested yet.
Right, the no path.
The no path. But
Yep.
until you start educating people about them voices and why that happens, and here's what you're really doing, and drugs and drink don't have that kind of power over you. You're giving that power, and here's the studies that show us, and blah blah blah. And then their mind start opens. So while they're in active addiction, I don't think they have a full choice.
Yeah.
They don't have an informed choice anyway.
Yeah.
They can only choose what they believe works for them.
When you look at it like that,
and lift them up a wee bit and tell them exactly what's going on, then they've got that ability to make informed choices like we do today. We make informed choices about our health, our wealth, whatever, what we're going to have for dinner and eat, whether we're going to go out for a walk and eat, whatever. When you're in that life, Liam, you know it yourself. There's only one choice.
There is. Until you know. Yes, well, until you know, But if you don't know, there is no choice. Like,
what's that we saying? You know what you know, right? You know what you know, like, your name's Liam. You know that, right? You know what you don't know. So, you don't know the fella's name who assembled this microphone, right? You don't know that, right? But you don't know what you don't know. That had me baffled for years.
That's happened basically a riddle.
Oh, he's worked on that, me Gary Sim. And it put my head away, and he used to laugh and say, have you worked that out yet? But it's simple and what it means. At the end of it, you don't know what you don't know. You'll continue to be the same because you're refusing. You're at that stage where what you don't know until you know it. You can't do nothing about it. So it's about education. It's about finding this stuff out. So if you're in addiction, you don't know what you don't know.
Yes, I get you now. Yeah.
So when you open your mind, tell it.
Yes.
Then you might make a different choice.
Yeah, and that's what the problem is. People don't know. They don't fucking know.
That's it. They know what they're told, media ways and all. Alcoholics, drug addicts, this, that, or if you don't get clean in meetings, you'll never get clean because, this stuff's drummed in with people. Everybody.
You're an addict for the rest of your life.
Oh, you're an alcoholic for the rest of your life. Somebody said that to me the other day, like you're an addict for the rest of your life. And I went, no, I'm not an addict.
I used to indulge in it.
They're like, wait a minute, what do you mean? Sure, you talk about him and all your drug use and all. And I went, I know, but that doesn't mean I'm an addict.
I've been getting that because I was speaking about that being I'm fully recovered.
Oh.
Well, you were never an addict then. I'm like, well,
I'll take that all day long and say I'm an addict, right? But it's like, I feel that I'm fully recovered, but it's like anything, Liam, unless we tell people what we know.
Yep.
They're always going to sit in that bracket of what you don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why I love doing what I do. I don't do it to upset people. I don't do it to go NA shit or AA shit.
No.
But I do it to say, because people's first reaction is get them to meetings. And I'm not saying meetings don't work because they're
a good stepping stone. They were stepping stone for me. Like.
I know people at meetings work brilliant for them.
You get out of what you got out of it by, we went it, we've seen, we dipped the toes and went, there's another way here. Like. So it was a good stepping stone to get us to where we're at now.
I built the foundation in it. That's what I will say. I made some great friends in NA, some amazing friends. Do you know what I mean? Like one guy in particular, Big T. That's all I'm going to say because there's many T's in the meetings, but Big T and I'll know who I'm talking about. When I first went to meetings, he was the guy that gave me the permission through his own behaviors and what he was doing. He was the guy that gave me permission to start softening myself up and starting to look at things in a different way and being silly and, not taking myself so serious and all that stuff. He gave me that permission through his actions because I looked up to him and thought, this guy's got what I want in my life.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So it was working for him, man, obviously.
Brilliant working for him, and it still works for him.
Yeah, good.
Still goes to meetings and stuff, do you know what I mean? And listen, I would never take it away from him. There's a guy close to here, Manu Lodge, one of the most knowledgeable guys I know around trauma and addiction. And, and he helped me through a lot of stuff in the years. I still see him in the New Lodge. Always give him a big hug and always talk to him. He doesn't give me that, you don't go to meetings, I'm not your mate vibe. Do you know what I mean? But there is people.
Yeah.
Because you don't go to meetings, you're not in the tribe no more. You're not part of the circle.
Yeah.
So that's in my life today, Liam. I have no time for people that don't want to vibe.
Yeah.
Talk about things openly and, have a debate about things and, and then shake hands and walk away. And then the next time you see you go, want to start a conversation again.
Yeah.
People who are just so closed down and say, no, this is the only way. This is the only road you can go. I stay away from people like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like people like yourself. First day I met you, how long were we chatting for?
I know. I know.
And it just went deep. Like,
Yep.
within seconds, we were in there with our shovels talking about everything.
I know.
You know, that's being open and that's looking at things in a different.
There is different approaches, like, you know what I mean? There's different
100. And that's why I love doing what I'm doing. I like seeing people who come to see me and giving them a wee bit of insight and they go, look at it and go, I've never thought of it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why have I never thought like that? Now I say, because you've never been told it, so you can't think.
You've never heard it. Yeah, you've never.
Now you know about it, you can grow it a wee bit. You know, I had a guy came to me 4 times. Do you know what I mean? And the last time he says, I don't think I need to come back. And I went, right, why, he says, I understand this whole process. I don't even need that
That's
shit.
class.
I don't even
see when someone says it.
Oh, I was like, right, don't sweat. You know where I am if you ever need me again. But this is people that are open for it. That's the other thing I don't do anymore, Liam. I used to chase people, try and
so did I.
Try and get them to recover.
It actually wears you down, but doesn't it?
Yeah, it emotionally drains you. Because you're only putting that load on yourself. Say, just for talk's sake, it's me and you. Somebody says, will you speak to my mate Liam? He's in a bad place. I'll say, send him over. You come in the room. The first thing I'll say, do you really want this?
Yes.
You know,
that's what I've started to figure out as well.
Do you really want this? Never go,
see if they don't. They're just trying to keep a wife happy or a husband or
they're wasting
your time. Like, you know what I mean?
You spend an hour, you've wasted 2 hours. Do you know what I mean? If he'll go to me, how's that? An hour of his time, an hour of my time's 2 hours. That can never be ever brought back. Do you know what I mean? So it's working on a weekend, the new lads as well, same thing. And I'm only in people, if you're working with me, don't touch your phone while I'm speaking to you.
Yeah.
And you're breaking concentration and you're telling me you don't really want to be. I know. So I get through all this stuff with him and he's getting it all and he's really feeding us that way. I do that, no. And the next thing I turn around, he's under the table like that with a phone, no letting on, he's listening to me. So I watched it the first time. It's about 20 minutes into it. Turned around, he was doing the same thing again. And I just put the flip chart down. So it then started packing up and he says, is that us done? And I says, oh, that's us done. Well, I come back next week and I says, don't bother.
He wasn't there to fucking learn.
You know, I just says, you're not ready. You're on the phone twice. I know I won't do it again. No, that's it. You've already crossed the boundary. Away you go. You're not wasting no more of my time. Where's up? That's just me now. There'd have been a time where I'd have went, here, put your phone away. You're not listening. No.
Why would you just watch this, man? You know, just clocked it twice, man.
He's not for me. Do you know? And that's the way I operate now. Girl phoned me a couple of months back and said, listen, my partner's gone through X, Y, and Z. She didn't even phone me. She met me outside the shop in Twinbrook. Partner's gone through X, Y, and Z. And all. I says, that's terrible, like, and that is terrible. And could you talk to him? And I says, oh, I don't sweat. Does he know you're talking to me about this? And she went, no. And I says, well, no, I can't talk to him.
Fuck, man.
I can't talk to him because I can't just walk around your house and go, I'm here to talk to you about your addiction. He'd probably get up and hit you a dig in the head, tell you to get out of the house.
Exactly.
But that's what, and family members don't mean anything bad by it. They're just trying to help their loved one, but they have to understand they can run till the end of the world. That person's not going to change until they're ready to change themselves and look at things. You know?
So I've had people reaching out to me as well. I'm just going to sign my son up, or I'm going to sign, and I'm going, do they want to change? Do you know what I mean? Because I've learned now, because this was the first time round, and I have to say to everybody now, do they want to change? Because that's not even the money I want. I want to fucking see results. You know what I mean?
I want to see people getting.
So if someone actually came the last time, he didn't last long. Like, his family was paying for him to come, and he was just sitting fucking
doing nothing.
Doing nothing.
Want to be here, mate.
No, on the phone, and I think he lasted 2 weeks.
He's here because his family wanted him.
But I don't even want people like that.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
And that's why I'm saying, if somebody sits in front of me and I go, do you really want this? And they go to me, oh, I go, well, tell me how you really want it. What's going on that you really want to change? And that she would go, they have to be, you know what I mean, genuine, and you'll feel it of them. And see if they're at that stage where they're ready to change, Liam. See the stuff that we do, they'll change.
Yeah.
You know, because you know what, Earl Chestnut, what irks me the most in the addiction field is people who work in the addiction field and tell people that relapse is part of the recovery. No, it's not.
I don't believe it.
No, it's not.
I think
it shouldn't even be an option.
I think you see someone today, having the drink or gear, they can stop today. They can stop.
But they have to want
tomorrow we can wake up fucking free from it.
Oh, and
at the end, it's like a fucking guillotine coming down. Boom. I don't think fucking it is part of recovery, relapse.
It's definitely not. And people who preach that, and it irks me because what you're doing is, if somebody's that far into drinking drugs, their life's full of excuses, right? Full of schemes and
I'll get it down to every 3 weeks, every fucking week, you know.
So what you're saying to that person realizing is it's okay for you to relapse. Because they're not hearing relapse is part of your recovery. They're hearing you saying, see, if you relapse, it's all right, you can come back again. Oh, I may as well do it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I'm very firm, and if you want to do this, here's how I'm going to do it. If you show me signs that you're going back to where you are, then you're not ready. Because if you were ready and you follow the steps that I'm sort of suggesting you follow, you should be okay. You know what I mean? You should be okay. You know, but people don't get that. I think we're so complex as humans. We think
that's the bad. Man, your approaches are very, very similar. Isn't it?
Because what the backbone of our approaches is that you're powerful and all.
You're powerful. It's eternal.
Yeah. You're not powerful.
Well, is the backbone of both of them. Like,
that's it, mate. You're not telling people they're broke, they need fixed. I don't believe anybody's broke or needs fixed. I believe people are wired, their nervous system's wired for a certain environment. And they'll keep bringing that back to that environment, regardless of what they do or say. The conscious mind will tell you on a Monday morning, no more drink or drugs. And it'll mean it with every fibre it has in its.
Yep, or you'll tell everybody else.
But the subconscious mind will pop in at 12 o'clock that day and go, you'll be, if you don't drink, or
you're going to be a boring, you're going to be a boring bastard.
You know what I mean? And then by 6 o'clock at night, they're high again. Yeah. It's not because they're weak and they've no willpower. It's because of how they're wired.
Yep.
Because of how they're
for survival. Your brain's tricked into for survival.
And that's, you know what I mean? And you talk a lot about the brain, the reptilian brain and stuff. And that's what happens. Your brain tells you, this is what your brain sends a signal and goes, that works for you, keep doing it. Even if your life, many people come to me, they're going to lose a business, they're going to lose a relationship, they're going to lose a house, they're going to lose the kids, they're going to lose this, they're going to lose that. They're still using drugs. Do you know what I mean? Because their brain's telling them it's working for you. Mm-hmm. But even though outwardly it's not, everything's falling apart, they'll still have this message in their head that it's working. Mm-hmm. Because if it wasn't them, why would they do it? You can't be physically addicted to cocaine. You know, you can't be. Yes, you go through a wee bit of psychological withdrawal.
Oh, yep.
But you can't be physically addicted to cocaine. No. Do you know what I mean? So you're taking cocaine to push something else down. You're getting a small hook out of it. Do you know? And my last days of using it was the first 2 keys. I loved it. The third key, the door got locked and the blinds get pulled down and stopped answering the phone, mate. Do you know? No. But I done that. I've done that every time, thinking it was going to be different.
I know. Maybe our stuff's different. This is off someone else's. Is going
maybe it's still hit different this time, you know.
For years.
And you know, because he was my mate, he told me it's good stuff.
Straight from the jungle.
You have to believe it, you know. I kept doing that, Liam, thinking, like you said, there's going to change. That was the insanity. Repeating the same thing over and over and over and expecting different results.
Yep.
But what I was chasing was aim for the first or the second key.
I know.
But after that, it was a nightmare, mate.
I know it was.
But it was enough for me to, all my children to fall out with me. It was enough for me to nearly lose a job over. It was enough for me to nearly lose a very good friend over. Do you know? It was enough for me to lose a relationship over 2 wee keys.
Mm-hmm. That wee buzz at the start.
First, and then second one, oof. Get the ambulance close. Who's that looking through them trees from 55 miles away? I can see them. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, who's out of the land? You're out of bed. Who's out of the land?
Oh, somebody's coming up next door. Hear him, you know.
Jesus
so you're letting your eyes closed and you think somebody's standing.
Oh, no. Yeah, when you open them, someone's going to be standing beside your bed.
But how's that any good? How's that any good? But if you're stuck in it, that's real. If you're stuck in it,
it's fucking mad.
And you think there's no way out, and you're thinking, I'm broke, I'm done. You're not.
No.
You just need to get around the right people that can direct you in that way and say, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Have you tried that?
Exactly.
What about this? What about that? What about that? Do you ever see the one Tony Robbins does? And that's the one I'll go back on. Look around the room.
Right? Yes.
Look around the room and count, because it's orange in this room, right? So you probably go 1, 2, 3, 4 and count these wee rings. And you probably go to the lights and say, see, I'm ready. Colour ones, them ones, and see the red lead.
Yeah.
You probably say that was orange just because your brain wants to prove itself, right? Mm-hmm. If you could even learn people that one skill of how you're thinking and feeling about yourself is what you're going to experience when you leave the house.
That's your reality.
That's your reality.
Yes.
With a couple of interventions and a couple of sessions of people talking to you the right way, you can turn that around. Like you said, you can get up in the morning and go, that's enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you can change your environment. That's what you're on about. Change your environment and it changes your reality. What you're looking for.
Exactly, mate. There's 4 seats in here I can count, right? if there's 4 entrepreneurs in here and you bring a seed in, you're going to be the 5th entrepreneur.
Exactly.
See, if there's 4 people in here doing coke and you bring a seed in, guess what?
Yep.
You're going to be the 5th one doing coke.
Exactly.
You know, and if you can change who you're around and stuff, and I know a lot of people in the economy go, but if I break away from my mates, I have no friends. Well, you're sitting in parties, so-called parties, for 3 days straight. I can never understand that when we go to a party and everybody's moved out, nobody's talking, you know.
That's not, no.
Do you know?
Fucking hell.
But if that's what you're classing as your friends in, you need to really look at what's going on in your life.
I know.
You know, the people I want around me now are the people who'll challenge me. And people who'll say to me, I don't think you're going the right direction here. Have you looked at this? Have you looked at that?
Yeah.
You know what? Listen, you brought something into this office today, some sort of behavior or some sort of energy. What is going on? I want people to do that for me. I don't want people to sit around me and go, you're brilliant and you're this and you're that. It's nice. Don't get me wrong. You'll be ego fed and, you know, but I want people that's real and going to give it to me, Liam. Do you know?
Yeah.
People who sit in kitchens for 2 and 3 days, because I was one of them and I know this here.
So was I.
They can't be around people like that. It challenges them. They need to be around people that condones what they're doing in order for it to be acceptable.
Yeah, yeah.
And if that's the circle they're going to go in, they're going to find it hard to get out of the circle because this is what their brain's wired for. Do you know what I mean? Even learning that one wee skill about the brain. Yeah. And I know you're heavy in that. Like,
yeah. You mimic your tribe.
That's what happens.
Yeah. It's hardwired in this. So you mimic, it's the same as you, would you say, 5 fat people, you're going to be the 6th, you know what I mean? Or millionaires, 5 millionaires, you're going to be the 6th for.
Oh, sure. Because if you're around 5 millionaires, they're going to give you some of their secrets and go, here,
I know.
We're going to give you this opportunity, put your money in this and give it 9 months and you're going to be all right. Sit with another load of boys, give us 900 quid of your money and we'll let on we're going around the corner to get something and we won't see you for 4 weeks. Do you know what I mean? And we'll go leave that money. Do you know? Yeah. That's just the way it is, mate.
It's fucked up, huh?
Change your tribe, change your circle, whatever way you want to look at it. But if you learn them, people have one lesson about the brain, and I know it just can't go in a podcast or 25 minutes. It's a bit of work, and you have to look at yourself a wee bit honestly. But when you break through it, it's probably the best thing that ever happens to you.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Just change your environment.
You've changed so much. I've changed so much. I don't view things the way I used to. I'm not a slave to addiction anymore. I can choose if I want to go out and have a beer, but I don't want to go out and have a beer, but if I want, I can choose.
So me and you used to take a cool, we lift the phone now and get gear right out here and
delivered here
after a few days, but we choose not to.
Choose not to. Yeah. Because we know now, somebody's brought us, or we've learned enough to get us to that level where we know now that choice is no longer good.
Yep.
But if you bring us 2 back, 10 or 15 years, we'd
be sitting here fucking saying, there's someone at that door.
Can you put something against that door?
I just said, shh.
All right. I'm going to have to go.
Do you ever do that in parties, though?
Or you have a wee bag of gear in your pocket and you're like, I'm going to have to go home here because your head's mangled. It's crazy, mate. But we're at a point now where we learned that wee bit.
Yep.
And we tricks about the brain. We can talk about it openly. We can sit in the podcast and say it's easy. But for somebody it's in that, still in that.
But what I want to say, it is easier than what people think. It is easier.
It's a lot easier than what people think, right? It is. But when you're in that.
But they can't, Damon's probably listening to us now going, it's not fucking that easy. But no, but it is easy. It's easier than what people think. I found out it was easier.
But that's what I found. I put a video out the other week, and that's what I said. I've been getting it really easy the last 6 to 8 years because I learned a lot about myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Just prior to COVID and coming in and all, it would have been 75% getting it good, but see COVID and really doing a deep dive and all, mate, I can't remember the last time I got up and went, my head's melted.
I know.
And I can't even remember the last time I spoke to myself in a negative way, mate.
Yeah.
I really can't.
But that's because of all the work you've been doing.
You know, I can't. And now, even if something does come up, I go, whoa, where are you going with that? Do you know what I mean?
Because you're able to, I don't know if you've seen the last, I had a guest in there the other day, he was on the podcast. Bob Proctor.
Oh, yes, that's the one that I was going to say to you about.
So that wee man actually was mentored by him. Like he was in Zoom calls and all them, but he was all talking about the power of the mind and all, and, you know, not letting things nest. The way you're saying stuff does come in. It's like a bird's nest. You know, if you let it fucking nest in, or you can let it fly on over. Do you know what I mean?
So I call it the traffic system, right? And, like I was sitting this morning, my settee in the house, look straight out the windows, tree. Obviously, there's no leaves or nothing on it. get a way of life and all, and I just sit there, right? And I now have this thing where I see the thoughts just floating by, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it might say, remember when you used to be a dickhead? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? When you just go, aye.
You see you later.
And let it go. But that thing that you're saying, if you nest it, so it goes, remember you used to be a dickhead, and you grab it and bring it in, you're going to think every time that you thought you were a dickhead, and it's going to make you feel like shit, and it's going to twist you up, and you're going to have a sore head, and you're going to feel all shitty, and you're going to act all shitty.
What it does is it takes you out of alignment.
You know, that's exactly it.
Do you know what I mean?
Takes all that
There's feelings attached to it.
100%.
But there's another one so you can perch, imagine yourself perched up on the edge of a motorway, and the cars going past their thoughts, and all you're doing is sitting watching them. You know, going up and down the motorway. Eyes up and down.
You know, see that one where you were a kid, I just go laugh and let it
I know.
Because if you bring that in even for a split second,
yep,
that could be an all day thing.
Well, it changes your frequency.
It could be an all day thing. It could ruin your whole day.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going through a breakup, right? So I came back 10 years ago, the old me going through a breakup, twisted, taxing, fuck you, all that shit, right? Because you were bringing thoughts in and then you were making stories up in your head.
But your feelings that you fucking get angry.
Soft man, you right? And you could never admit that because you're too cool for school, do you know what I mean? But now, like, it's like, if thoughts come up from old, I just go, no, I'm not taking that. No, I'm not taking that. I have the ability now to think about what I want to do in 5 years' time, where I want to be in 5 years' time, 3 years' time, 1 year's time. Where do you start? What do you do? Think about that stuff. I never could.
See, that's something I always talk about. It's called, so when you get to our stage, we're now functional adults. It seems you're on about taking coke and drinking all. Your mind is, you're living out of your subconscious.
Yep.
So your subconscious thinks 5, 10, 15 minutes into the future, but your conscious mind thinks 5, 10, 15 years into the future.
Yep.
Because now me and you clean, not clean, because clean's a bad word, substance free. But now we're functioning out of the conscious mind. So me and you's planning 5, 10, 15 years into the future. Whereas anybody running about drinking alcohol, doing all this here, they don't think long term. They just think short term, like a child. A child thinks short term. Do you know what I mean?
Their next hit.
So they're adult teens. They're like, you know,
adolescents.
Aye. You know,
that's what I was, mate.
I was like that for a long time till these last 4 years. Was able, you know, you're starting now. This is starting to come back online, big time.
You're prefrontal cortex, your executive functioning. That's the best.
It's starting to come back online. So I'm now planning for the future.
Aye, and I'm going to do this and maybe do that.
But before that was short term gratification. That's all I was thinking about was just fucking.
I get it now.
With everything, but overspending, fucking, you know, nothing was thought out.
I would still like lapse into behaviors like that, and it's like, so it'd be like food. I want to taste it now. I don't want to wait till the weekend. I want it now. You know, overspending money, phoning up, and probably cost you 20 odd quid just to feed you yourself because of what it is you want to eat and where it's delivered from and all. I lapse into wee behaviors like that, but 99.9% of the time I'm a functional adult who's doing the right thing and and do things for the future. But again, that self-compassion comes in when I do cross the line. I go, I don't.
Well, you put yourself back in, back in the lane.
I myself in the morning go, you deserved it, not, but I have compassion. Go, listen, it's okay. You fell off a ball a wee bit, push it back in. Just don't do it again. And I mightn't do it for 6 months, 9 months, 18 months, 24 months, but you know, but I don't watch for it anymore. And if it happens, it happens. Be compassionate.
Well, I still have one of them behaviours because it's the sugar that's falling into it. You know what I mean? Because that's not thinking long term. But I'm aware of it, but it's not thinking long term health. Do you know what I mean?
So even the things what we talk about, and this is what I love about this stuff is it's like everything that we have done working on ourselves, we were never aware of it. Until we made ourselves aware of it, we couldn't do anything about it. But now we're so aware of it, we're becoming that functional adult. People who are still in it, and that's what we need to teach them is to become aware of the things they're unaware of.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought that was brilliant. Like when I was doing becoming aware, like what does that mean? And start becoming aware that there is another way. There's another few ways if you really want to go.
Yep.
Start to become aware that you have power. Right? Let's look at that. Start to become aware that you're not a scumbag and people do love you and you're not unworthy. And you start growing. But I never knew that until I became aware of it, until I looked at it. And it's the things that we're unaware of, we're afraid to look at, that hold the most power for us.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. That's good.
So that's why I wrote it like. But
So here, what's your plans then for next year?
so next year,
Yep.
a lot of things. So I actually did a personal statement for this year,
Mhm.
and I mapped out everything that I'd done this year, Liam, and it blew my own mind. Just things that I'd done that I'd forgot about, that I'd done, and projects that I'd done, things that I'd started and stuff. As you know, I started my own podcast platform, and it's a platform for people coming through recovery of mental health problems, coming through trauma recovery or addiction recovery. We talk about any types of recoveries. Like I have a girl coming on in a couple of weeks going to talk about a mental illness. Do you know what I mean? And how she recovered out of it. It's not always just about substances and stuff.
No, anything to do with mental health. You know, anything along them lines.
So I provided that platform. I've started that platform.
And what's the name of it?
The Unorthodox Recovery Coach Podcast. It's on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I heard out, and I'll probably bits and bobs of it on my socials and stuff.
Why haven't I got it on YouTube as well?
I have a YouTube channel, but I need somebody to show me what way to do all that.
I'll show you.
Jazz it up and all, you know. But
yeah.
There is videos on it, but they're just like as if they only come out of the back street, you know.
Yeah.
So I do have I've written for I publish articles for a thing called Medium, and I write about all the things that I work with: mental health, addiction, trauma. Write about emotional regulation. You know, currently deliver programs in McGilligan this year. You know, release ready stuff. Designed it all myself. Delivered it.
Brilliant.
You know, it's all good. But when I was looking at it, I was like, right, that's
came a long way.
Right. What's in 2026? So I'm doing my 5-year plan and stuff at the minute, but I'm really going to up the podcast platform, the school platform. There's going to be more courses and stuff going on that there. You know?
So what's your name on school as well?
The Unorthodox Recovery.
Same
Coach.
again?
All right, so it's all Unorthodox.
And you're on TikTok too, aren't you?
Yes, the Unorthodox Recovery Coach on TikTok.
That's good. Keep it all the same.
On Instagram, I'm Crowe Tony 22, the Unorthodox Recovery Coach, because I started my Instagram long before I started that channel and stuff. So that's the same message on it all, but this year I'm going to amplify it all.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And like I've developed a few programs and all this year I'm really, really proud of. Do you know what I mean? And it brings all that emotional regulation in, and, you know, looking at addiction from a different perspective, and, you know,
amazing.
Developed
that's what the world needs.
I've developed my own 5-step approach as well. Do you know what I mean? And I'm in the process of really running that home, and then once I have it down to a T, I'm going to, what do you call that, copyright it. Do you know what I mean? So it's mine and stuff. But I've really dug deep into it, and it's a good approach. I've tried it out with a few people, just, you know.
Class. I think it's amazing.
It seems to be getting results. Like,
I think it's class, but.
So that's me, hopefully, in the new year.
It's like me and he's on the same fucking
wavelength.
I don't know what it is, but so you started smoking around the same time as me. The glue, the cars, everything. I mean, fucking everything. The E's, then the Coke. It's fucking like the same. And then now we're fucking into this kind of stuff.
It's, what did you call it? The circle of life.
You
start out life as not feeling enough, not being worthy enough, not being lovable enough. And then you get to a point in your life where all that reverses. And you are worthy of everything, and you do love yourself. And I used to think loving yourself was looking in the mirror.
What age are you?
53, mate.
So when you hit 40, did your life turn like bigger? Like, I mean, no, you obviously were on sort of a journey, but seeing you hit 40, did you notice a big change? Because it seemed to have to me at 40.
No, mate.
No, was before it?
No. So I'll tell you something. Do you know where I was on my 40th birthday?
What?
I was sitting with a guy who was coming off heroin. Sitting with him, you know, because he was to be a bit suicidal and stuff. That's what I did on the night of my 40th birthday. Right? Because this guy he was close to me, do you know what I mean? And I was just trying to help him out, but unfortunately, he, you know, he overdosed anyway. Not that night, but no, I think it's been my 50s.
Was it?
It sort of had to make, get off your ass and start doing more. You need to do more.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in my 50s. I've never felt fitter. Mentally, emotionally, physically, more focused. You know, I think I've got this wee thing in the back of my head of 10 years left of good, honest, hard, cold-faced work.
I know. I always says I only live the 60s.
I have to make it a 10-year matter before I get that retirement. I know you start slowing down. But something tells me I'm 53 now. Like I said, I feel healthy, fit, strong, emotionally strong, all that stuff. I think I'll be all right well into my 60s, mate, if I keep treating myself the way I treat myself now. Do you know what I mean? I don't do the whole... There's a video in Trauma Talks, video 14, never forget it. The first 10 minutes of it. And it's by a doctor called Dr. Bruce Lipton. Right? You can find him on the internet.
I actually show one of his videos in my program.
Right.
His is about, I can't even remember what it was about.
He talks about environment, and he's a genealogist. No, he does research around genes and all genetics and all that sort of stuff. So he done this experiment 40 odd years ago, and he's worked on it since. And he separated cells, and they grew the same, but he got like bone cells out of one because he changed the environment a wee bit, and blood cells out of another because he changed the environment, and then skin cells out of another. So then he goes on to explain that environment means a lot. So we as humans, our environment is so important.
It is.
So he talks
very important.
If you open your eyes in the morning, the first person you see is someone you love, you're flooded with all these chemicals and the dopamine and all that stuff, and you're up and you're, yes, let's get at it. But if you open your eyes and you're with someone that, you know, you don't love and that's a bit toxic and stuff, you're flooding your brain full of adrenaline and cortisol and all stress hormones. And you're probably feeding yourself with thoughts of, you know, disease thoughts or, you know,
can make you sick,
all that stuff, mate. But on the other hand, you could be feeding yourself thoughts of positivity and wellness and all that there. But he proved scientifically that your environment means a lot. He puts his video up and it's half of it's like this factory, right? Like smoking chimney and all, right? But the other half is like this green tree and this green field and all this lovely stuff. But it depends on what way you look at it and where you're looking at it from. You can look up and see the chimney smoke and go, this is a disgrace. Or you can look at the green trees and the green field and go, this place is lovely.
Do you know it's actually part of my program was about changing your environment? There's a big part. There was a few weeks around the environment because of, you know,
the environment's so important.
It is. It's very important.
It's so important.
Well, you change your environment, you're tricking your subconscious into believing you belong to a different tribe.
You're doing the whole...
Do you know what I mean? 100%. That's the simplest way to put it. Like,
that's because, listen, the reason they say it takes a village to raise a child is because that's what happened at one stage. A village raised the child. It wasn't just two parents. And then they broke us down into nuclear families. And back in the 50s, nuclear families with mummy, daddy goes to work, mummy looks after the house and the kids, and it's all brilliant. And then we get to the 60s and, you know, the swinging 60s comes in and sex and drugs and rock and roll. And then we start getting a lot more unmarried mothers and single parents and, you know, daddy's taken away from homes. And,
but that's all by design. Like,
of course it is.
You know what I mean?
You know, and that's why when you're saying about changing your environment, if you change your environment, it feels like you've changed your tribe.
Look at the chaos in the world because of what you're talking about there.
100%.
It's all by design, definitely. Like,
Bruce Lipton's video learns me and has learned me not to feed into all that. Stuff's happening. There's nothing.
Yes, exactly. I used to get sucked into it.
I can only do what I can do in my environment. So, yes, I will help people in my environment who are struggling, but they have to be willing to help themselves. If they're not willing to help themselves, I'm not going to waste my time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because my energy's precious and my time's precious.
Exactly.
It never used to be. I used to give it to everybody. Chase people and all. You're not going to meetings and
it's hard. I've been there as well. Like, you know, do you know what I mean? Like the walks and all. I run, you know, chasing people to come on the walks and all. It's just like if you don't want to change, like, you know, it's here if you want to. But if you don't want to, you know, it's up to you. Like,
well, I'm going to be joining them walks next week. Are you on next week?
I was on next Tuesday. Huh?
I'm going to be joining them.
Are you?
Maybe a friend of mine too. I think Michael's going to come up on this Tuesday.
Good. Yeah, it's good. It's good crack. But it's changing the tribe when you think of it like that. That's the tribe. It's the whole tribe aspect. Do you know what I mean?
And then you have people talking positively instead of they're not talking about getting a bag of gear. Or
well, I always say to them, we're powerful. You know, it's not like you go and fucking try and brainwash them, but I always, you know, we drop wee hints. You know, we're not powerless. We're fucking powerful. You know what I mean?
We've made a choice.
That's what it's about. Like, you know.
And you know yourself, you walk up a cave hill and you get that top, you see all that lights, and you're a wee bit.
That's a reward.
You're a wee bit done out because you've done a good walk, or you know, you're breathing heavy and all, and a wee bit sweaty maybe, but it's a reward.
That's the reward at the top. And then you get a wee cup of tea after.
And then when you're walking back down.
And a bit of sugar.
A wee bit of sugar. You need a bit of sugar. Then when you're walking back down, you know what I mean? You're just processing it all and going, I've done that and achieving, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas if you don't change, if you sit around the boys in Clifton Tavern, you're never leaving the Clifton Tavern. It's that simple.
So you think the same as me. If you don't change anything in your life, nothing's going to change. Like, if you sit in the settee every night and watch TV, nothing's going to change.
Yep.
People think you can just read some magic pill and go, you know,
but
without putting the worker name in here, I'm going to, you stop drugs now.
I remember going to meetings, going to a doctor, every fart's hand, depressed, the miss, anxious.
But you weren't doing anything about it?
Drug seeking.
Yeah.
So I wanted that magic pill you take it. Hey, that's life.
Yeah, I'm sweet now.
I get them for the rest of my life.
Yeah, doesn't work like it.
You got to put the effort in. You really have to put the effort into yourself first and foremost. And it's like that saying, can't pour from an empty cup. If you're not doing anything to fill your cup up, stop trying to help people. You're going to burn yourself out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I done a wee thing on the school last night. And it was about people pleasing. Overthinking doesn't really exist, because if you were a thinker, you wouldn't overthink. You ruminate. You ruminate yesterday's thoughts today. Just ruminating, you add a wee bit on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was talking about, you know, the process of overthinking, but why was it going to, what were we talking about there? Can't even remember.
I can't even remember.
There you go. We're talking that much, Liam.
Yep, exactly.
So cut that out, but.
We'll cut that out. I'll say, you get that, Risha? I'd have to say it about the end. But we'll wrap it up anyway.
Aye. Listen.
I have to get this, I have to go and click this.
I was looking at you, or looking at your watch.
No, I have to get her at 3 o'clock, you see.
It's 10 to 3.
I know. But we'll end it, we'll end. So, Tony, it was brilliant having you on.
No, thank you, Liam, for inviting me.
And here, keep an eye on this man for next year, because I think there's big things coming, like.
Aye.
But with the both of us, I think we're going to put a good dent in recovery, like.
So do I.
Big thing.
Maybe we should do a collaboration, put it together.
Aye, I'm up for it.
And remember, keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward.
Just hear it.
Every last one is worth it. Every last one is. That's
Yep.
a fact.
And I love saying this here. If me and him can do it, what's stopping you, like?
If I can do it, exactly, and you can do it, anybody can
What's
do
the difference between us and you, like?
100%. Guys, take care.
Yep. That's us for this episode of Rewired for Freedom. If it hit home, share it with someone who needs to hear it. That's how we spread this. Person to person, truth to truth. Remember, the beast never sleeps. Stay conscious, stay connected, and keep building evidence that you're stronger than it. I'm Liam Keeley, and this is Rewired for Freedom. Stay switched on and stay free.